A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in theory. An anomaly, properties undiscernible to mere peasants.
This week on the $1 Million Plan, we're going to talk about something that all of a sudden I'm really agitated about, and that is how our data is handled, specifically with the credit bureaus. So we're going to tackle that this week. We may have some time to do a little bit of budgeting stuff in the final part of the show. If we don't, you know what? We'll do it next week. I always appreciate you listening. Go to PeteThePlanner.com if you're trying to figure out what's going on. I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Pete the Planner. So here's what happened this past week. Equifax had a massive data breach. The data breach was so large, 209 million. Was that right? No one knows. 143 million Americans, which is almost half the country, their data was compromised in this data breach. In fact, there's a website you can go to check if you were compromised, and my data was compromised yet again because of sloppy handling of people's data. So what I want to talk to you about today is how this happens, what steps you can take to prevent it, and what are the credit bureaus? I think too often we get caught up in our credit scores, and we get caught up in our credit scores. We fail to take the time to understand the real story behind your credit scores. So the best way to explain this is to start with the three credit bureaus. There are, three. There's Equifax, which just had the big data breach. There's Experian, and there's TransUnion. Now, what they do is they gather your data because at some point in time with your customer agreements and everything that you sign, all the small print, anytime you open a bank account or get a mortgage or credit card, you authorize these bureaus, these data companies, to acquire your data, and then they store it, and then they sell it. So they are data brokers. What they do is companies looking to sell to certain people with certain behaviors go to the data bureaus to find those behaviors. They purchase those customers, and then they sell, the bureaus sell the data of those people to the companies who want to market to them. Here's a great example. Let's say I go to my doctor and I say, "Doctor, I love Twinkies." And he says, "I can tell." And so I love Twinkies, and he writes it in my chart. And like 2 weeks later, the Hostess Corporation calls up and says, "All right, so Doc, we want to buy all the data, all the charts of people who love Twinkies and ding dongs and ho-hos." And so my doctor sells all the people with snack cake addictions. He sells their files to Hostess. And then Hostess, like a month later, is like, "Well, we're coming out with a new product that these fatsies will love." And so they aggressively market to the people with a snack cake addiction. That is what happens with your data every single day. That's how it works. In fact, the last report I saw, and I believe it was Equifax, it could be Experian, 86 or 87% of their revenue from these billion dollar companies comes from selling your data that you reluctantly gave them permission to obtain. 86 to 87% of the revenue comes from selling your data to people who want to sell you things based on the behavior you exhibit within your data. And the remainder of their revenue comes from selling you identity theft protection. And here's the most interesting part about all of this. There's a brilliant way to disinvolve yourself from all of this, which I'm going to talk about shortly. But instead of telling you to do that, the credit bureaus don't want you to do that, because if you do that, they can't sell your data, right? I'm going to say this again. You can prevent all this junk easily. Actually, it takes 10 minutes, which is easy, right? I mean, in the big scheme of things, it's easy. You can take 10 minutes, prevent being part of all of this, but the credit bureaus will never tell you to do it. Instead, they want you to buy identity theft protection. And what's happened in this breach is that they are telling you that they're going to give you free identity theft protection for a short period of time. But when that expires, they're just going to try to sell you identity theft protection, as opposed to telling you the most simple way to stay out of all of this. See, my data got compromised, but because I did this simple step, it doesn't particularly matter. It feels like a tease. And to understand this, I'm going to bring on my producer, Nicole, because I'm going to tell her what to do, because I don't think she's done this. Nicole, hello. You there?
I am. Hello.
Okay, sorry. I didn't give you
No,
much
you're good.
warning there. I was like,
Okay.
hey, I'll put you in the second segment. We're 5 minutes into the first segment, and then I summon you.
Surprise.
Nicole, did anything I just said, did you know any of that?
Fortunately, I work for a financial advisor, so I was aware of this.
I'm not a financial advisor.
Wellness.
Just a disclaimer, but go ahead.
So I was aware of everything that's going on, but I have no idea how to freeze my credit. I did get on and check and see that my data was not compromised. So
Okay.
I feel good about that, but also I don't feel like it's enough to not do anything else following up with that.
So we bring Nicole on for a very simple reason. Nicole's a very smart young lady. She works for a financial institution, my financial institution, and but she's very young. And I say "but" as though it's a negative thing. Sorry about that, Nicole. But I say that because every year there's a group of people that come out of school and they don't know that they should freeze their credit. That's the step. That's the step I've been teasing. Nicole said it. We want you to freeze your credit. And I'm going to explain the process of this. I will say before I do that, though, there is zero reason to not freeze your credit. Nicole, you've known me a little while now. I give financial advice for a living.
Yes.
But very rarely do I say things like, that's a no-brainer. Everyone should do this. Because I feel like every situation is different. So you don't hear
Yeah.
me give a lot of blanket advice.
No.
However, when it comes to freezing your credit, I'm gonna get a little been out of shape here.
Yeah.
You're a dum-dum. That's right, a dum-dum.
Me.
If you do not freeze your credit, no matter where you live, who you are, you've got to do it. So, Nicole, what we're going to do is we're going to take you through the process
Okay.
of freezing your credit. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Okay? So, to freeze your credit, here's what it means. It takes your data. It does a couple things. It takes your data out of public view, right? The credit bureaus cannot sell your data any longer when you have your credit frozen. You will not get pre-approved credit card offers in the mail. But most importantly, here's what happens. If someone goes to open a credit line in your name, which has happened to me in the past, someone opened up a credit line in my name 15 years ago at Target.
What?
Yeah, at Target without my permission and knowledge. And they did it because I didn't have frozen credit. So they just used my social security number, which they got a hold of. But if you freeze your credit, when the store or the credit card company goes to the data bureaus to say, hey, tell us about this person's credit, if your credit is frozen, they cannot offer them that information. So the card application is immediately declined.
Oh.
You know, because so that's what we have to do. We have to make sure that you go to the three bureaus.
Yeah.
You go in and we have a blog post at PeteThePlanner.com. Actually, just Google Pete the Planner and freeze credit.
Okay.
We wrote this with Anthem years ago, and there was a big Anthem data breach. I think it was 80 million of their customers had their data compromised. So we want people to freeze their credit as opposed to identity theft protection. So, Nicole, here's the difference. Identity theft protection is if you have a camera, you know, what are the security cameras that they call them?
Yeah.
Security camera pointed towards your front door, but the front door is unlocked. And so that's identity theft. So someone comes in the front door and then the camera goes, hey, someone just walked in your front door. We should try to fix that. Freezing your credit locks the door.
Oh.
We want to lock the door.
You want to get the security system that you have to enter the little code.
No, we don't even need a security system.
It'll just
lock the door. Like the identity theft protection, that's
Yeah.
the security system. But people say, well, you need both. Not necessarily, right?
Interesting.
Because if someone can't access your data records because your
Yeah.
credit is frozen, it doesn't particularly matter. So like my credit is frozen, although these hackers, like that's what old people call computer criminals.
Yeah.
They don't know what to call them. These hackers, they got my social security number and all that, but it doesn't matter. They can't do anything because my credit is frozen. That's the key. People might get your social security number,
Yeah.
as they did in this breach. But if your credit is frozen, it doesn't matter at all. So as we head to break, Nicole, I'm going to make you, as we go to break, I'm going to make you go on the computer.
Okay.
The word machine.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever we call it.
That one.
And listen to your electronic music. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm going to make you freeze your credit. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
This is a employer-ordered credit freeze. All right. So you were going to walk us through verbally what is happening. This is going to be great radio. Everyone's going to love it. So we'll do that right after the break.
Okay.
This is the credit freeze. Don't be a dum-dum edition. We need to make sure that you're locking it down, locking your door. By the time you're done listening to our program today, your credit better be frozen. There are no excuses because that's what we're doing. I'm Pete the Planner. This is $1 Million Plan.
Stop what you're doing. Log on and hit Pete up on Twitter at Pete the Planner.
Primo beat, man. Kanye let this one go. Man. Sound good to me. I never question the right of any man to voice his opinion as strongly as any can. But then again, many men are citizens of their own little world, so they ain't really fitting in. I'm in the background blending in, camouflaged by the scenery, but I'm a champion. Revamp the camp again, put down the stamp.
All right, back on the Freeze Your Credit, people edition of the $1 Million Plan. I'm a little bent out of shape this week. Here's the thing. There's another data breach. There's data breaches all the time. This one is with one of the big credit bureaus, which is just a matter of time. The three credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Equifax got hacked, which means your social security number is floating around the internets. And the problem with that is not that you don't want people to know your social security number. It's because if they have your social security number, they can go and open credit lines in your name and steal your identity. I've had it done to me a decade and a half ago, and it stinks. But fortunately, there's one thing you can do to prevent yourself from being a party to this, and that is to freeze your credit. So what I want you to do today, as you're listening to this, the best thing to do, the easiest thing to do is Google Pete the Planner credit freeze, which Nicole, producer Nicole, you just Googled Pete the Planner credit freeze.
Yes, I did.
Okay, go to that tab there on the computer. We're doing this live on the air. And then in that article about freezing your credit, there is a link at the bottom of the article, and the link says what, Nicole?
It says a step-by-step guide to freezing your credit with direct links to each of the credit bureaus. Clicky, clicky.
So you clicky
Absolutely.
on the clicky.
Into a new tab.
Into a new tab. So you're into this new tab, and then it gives you the three bureaus with screenshots of what it looks like, what you should do. Here's the thing. Equifax right now is inundated with people trying to save their financial future. So Equifax is currently not working. Thanks, Equifax. But so what we're going to do is we're going to go to TransUnion, and we're going to freeze Nicole's credit. Actually, you know what? Let's do TransUnion. Let's not do Experian. Let's do TransUnion. TransUnion is actually the hardest to freeze. It is the hardest to freeze. It can be a little bit pain in the neck. So Nicole just clicked on the link at PeteThePlanner.com to freeze her TransUnion account. Nicole, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's a large orange block there that says place a security freeze. Let's go ahead and click that. Okay, so here's the challenge here. You're going to register at this first screen on TransUnion. I know I'm walking you through this on the podcast and the radio show today, but it's important you understand. TransUnion is the hardest one for one particular reason. When you go to their login screen or the process starting screen, it gives you two choices. The secure login, as though you already have a password and a user ID, or the new user register button on the right side of the screen. Mm-hmm. Everyone, Nicole included, thinks, well, I've never done this before, so I'm going to click register, right? Right? I mean, that's what you're thinking, correct? Yeah. So here's the problem, Nicole. You can click it. I want you to click it, but there's a small chance that you already have a username and password and you just don't know it.
Really?
And by small chance, I mean, if you weren't 23-ish, a big chance. Like if you were my age, which is much older, it's very likely you have a password and username, you don't even know it. So go ahead and click register and hope that you don't have your email registered. Because if you don't, it's a big pain in the neck because then you have to go through the password recovery process. So, all right, go ahead, add it, Nicole. We're not showing here on PeteThePlanner.tv. We're not showing her information as we enter it into the screen. She's asked to enter her first name and her last name and her middle name. Marie, who knew? And then she's entering her address. And here's what it's going to do. It's going to ask you your current address, and then it's going to ask all your addresses over the last 2 years. If you're like most people and you're doing this, you're going to be entering all this data and you're going to begin to feel uneasy because of the personal and sensitive data you are currently entering. Again, think about this. Nicole, I don't know if you're feeling this way already, but we're trying to protect your data, but to do so, you need to give all your data to them to confirm that's your data.
I was going to say, that feels a little backwards of hey, please protect all of my information, but at first, let me just make sure I give you all of that.
Yeah, it's like if you've got a secret and then someone's like, well, I already know the secret. And I'm like, oh, you already know the secret? Tell me the secret. They're like, no, you tell me the secret. That's the same thing here. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know your social security number. They're supposed to know it. Then it's sort of the standoff of who's going to get it. So you've entered the initial information. You get to choose a username and a password. A username and a password. As she's choosing her username, Beastmaster22, that's a weird username. As she's using her username, I will make the point here that the most important part of freezing your credit is to remember your PIN code. Okay? You are going to either choose your PIN code like you can on Experian, or you're going to be assigned a PIN code like you are at TransUnion and Equifax. And when you do that, if you do not write down, tattoo on your arm, that PIN code, you cannot unfreeze your credit. By the way, she's continuing through the stuff here. Let me just tell you, when you freeze your credit, it does not affect your currently open credit line. So if you use your Macy's card, which don't do that, but if you did, or if you use your Visa or MasterCard on a regular basis, by freezing your credit, it does not affect those cards at all. At all, on any level. It does not affect you in a negative way. All it does is, if you go to open up a new credit line, you would have to unfreeze your credit using your PIN code to do so. So Nicole has entered some information. It is processing. Your information is loading. Please wait. It's got a lot of pressure right now. Like, what's happening? Oh, you have to. Okay, now here's an important step. She's going to have to take your time on this here, Nicole. Don't miss any of these. Nicole is going to have to verify her identity. They do this by asking you some surprisingly tricky questions about your own life. They usually ask you between 3 to 5 questions about, go ahead and start to answer them, about, do you have a payment of this amount? Do you have a car payment that's between $200 and $280? Do you have a car payment that's between $500 and $550? Did you ever have a student loan payment? Did you ever grow up on a street with this name? Now, what can happen is if you don't know the answers to these, or you get them wrong, then you can be in big trouble, because then you're going to have to manually freeze your credit by calling the 1-800 number or physically mailing in documents to the credit bureaus, which makes me really uneasy because, Nicole, I don't know about you, but printing off and filling out information with your social security number and putting it in the U.S. Postal Service's system and having it sent and sit in a room for weeks until they freeze it, that makes me uneasy. How about you?
Yeah, especially when it's right here in front of us on the screen.
Yeah.
However, these questions are a little trying.
All right.
I'm not going to lie.
So are you part of any of these? They ask weird questions like, which of these businesses are you associated with?
As I've never heard of any of these businesses.
Yeah. So it's really strange. I've never even, I'm going to have to read these because can I read these? Do you care?
Absolutely.
I don't think it's compromising your data. One of the questions is Nicole is trying to freeze her credit for the first time. By the way, Nicole, do you feel like an adult right now?
I do. I very much so feel like an adult right now.
I feel like at lunch we should order chicken salad.
Yes.
Because kids don't order chicken salad.
But adults do. They have,
do.
They have the palate for it.
That's right. Or they order a tuna fish sandwich. And they call it tuna fish as opposed to tuna, because as though it was like tuna deer.
Yeah.
Here's one of the questions that Nicole's trying to freeze her credit. It says, which of these businesses are you associated with? And here are her choices. The Money Talks joint venture, which, by the way, no, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Are you drinking there?
I am.
Well, hopefully it's a soft drink.
It's my life cultures.
Oh, don't start with me. We got to talk about my heartburn later. Engine 6 Productions. Were you part of Engine 6 Productions?
Unfortunately, no.
That sounds like a fireman calendar company. Like, Can you ever see me in a... Don't answer that question. Number 3, not available from registry is the name of one of these businesses they think you're involved with. And
That
then finally,
sounds very legitimate.
the Rose Spa and Nails Incorporated.
Not my nail salon.
So then one of the choices is none of the above. She's going to select it. Oh, man, I hope you get this right.
I
So
know,
hit
I do
next.
too.
So here's what's going to happen. She's answered all these questions. She's going to hit next, and then they're going to see if they can verify that she is who she says she is. And this starts to get a little tricky here.
My hands are a little clammy.
Okay, so it's processing right now. Here's what can happen. You can answer a question wrong. It could be wrong, and you get blocked out. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay. So how excited are you?
I'm very excited.
There's an additional note before you go on, Nicole. It depends on what state you reside as to whether or not freezing your credit is free. So, Nicole, you live in the great state of...
Indiana.
That's a weird way to say it.
Yeah,
That's a little weird.
roll
Got a little
with it.
weird. Got a little awkward there. But it's free because the Attorney General has made it free in the state of Indiana. It normally would cost you $10 per bureau, right? So that would cost you $30 total, but in Indiana and many other states, it's free. So now they verified you are who you say you are, so you can click and add security freeze. So she's clicking the yellow button on TransUnion to add security freeze. We're showing you how easy this is on the show today. If you're listening to this, you're like, why am I listening to this mannish type person? Well, it's not an accurate description, but why am I listening to this person do this on the radio? The reason is because I'm trying to show you how easy. Okay, now she's creating her PIN number. I'm interrupting myself to tell you she's creating her PIN number. Nicole, you have to remember this number.
Yes.
Do you promise me you'll remember this number?
I promise, because I've known this since I was in probably 2nd or 3rd grade. And
So it's don't give reference to it. But is it something that you constantly use as a PIN number?
No.
But you have to know that you're going to remember that. Can you promise me?
Yeah, because it's 6 digits, and
Here's
I just counted it out on my hands, and I know it.
Let's say you and your significant other go to apply for a loan for something 3 years from now, and you have to unfreeze your credit.
Yeah.
And you forget this PIN name, and then you call me and you say, "You jerk, why'd you make me freeze your credit?" Are you that confident
Yes,
that you won't forget it?
I pinky promise I will write it down somewhere.
I haven't pinky promised with anyone in a while, but so let's go ahead and hit it. Okay, so you've entered your PIN number. You've confirmed your PIN number. Hit continue. We're at step 2 of 3. She's 70% done with the process. Sure, we're drawing this out on the radio, but you could have done this much faster than we're doing this, right, Nicole?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. I'm going to read this. It says, "Thank you. At your request, a TransUnion security has been applied to your credit report. You are, preventing others from looking at your TransUnion credit report and then helping to stop identity thieves from obtaining credit in your name." Now, here's the deal. Nicole, I want you to look to the far right of the screen to the bright ad, and
Yes.
I want you to tell me what that ad is for.
There's a new identity fraud victim every 2 seconds.
Keep going.
Start protecting yourself with TransUnion.
Yeah.
Get protected.
Okay, so go ahead and click on the ad. Get protected. I'm going to make a very visceral point here. And visceral is just a really good word to use. Just going to click on the ad, open in a new tab if you can. There you go. What they're trying to do, instead of getting you to freeze your credit, which is free and easy and takes like 4 minutes, they want you to buy their credit protection service. This is my biggest point here. 87% of their revenue comes from selling your data that you don't want them to sell, but they're willing to earn another 13% of their total annual revenue by selling you identity theft protection that you don't have to buy because you can just freeze your credit for free or $10 per bureau, depending on what state you live in. Now, Nicole, here's the best part before we go to break.
Yes.
You can do a 1 hour, a 5-minute unfreeze period. It doesn't matter. Like if someone's running your credit to get a new car or a new house, and then it just automatically refreezes.
Oh.
Okay. So let's go to break. Everyone's all worked up. I need a smoke. I don't. We're all worked up. But coming up after the break, a little bit more on credit freezes, and see, we'll get into some budgeting stuff, but maybe we'll do it next week. I'm Pete the Planner. This is $1 Million Plan.
Yeah. Axe hand on the beat. Yes, sir. Glass House. Yes, sir. Mr. Kinetic, Rusty Redenbacher. ATFU. Naptown. Yeah. cashing in like the end of the game at the casino. I lean so the glare of the rear view don't hit me. Swiftly through the avenues and boulevards, old soul playing on my speakers, old soul but young in age, a boss player. Not from the Himalayas, but my fam gave me Gary, Indiana game. Grew up around the country, but the mindset was there. Ain't I won't complain about a damn thing on this beat.
We're back on the Freeze Your Credit People edition of the $1 Million Plan, the People Planet. If you just are joining us, you missed a riveting part of radio, segment of radio, in which producer Nicole froze her credit live on air. How was that for you?
I feel like a full-fledged adult after doing that. I'm not going to lie.
When you text your friend later and you say, "Hey, man, friend, I just froze my credit on a radio show," what do you think he'll say?
He's not going to be surprised.
That's true.
I mean, he knows.
Wonder
you,
if his is credit or his is frozen. What do you
I don't
think?
know. That's a good question.
Oh, you need to big time him this weekend.
Oh yeah.
But you know what you should do? And he'll be like, go to a beer festival, and you'll be like, no. And he'll go, listen to computer music, and he'll go, no. Let's freeze our credit.
And I'll get that blank stare of.
Yeah, and he'll know it's me. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Nicole just froze her credit. It takes you a couple minutes. Everyone listening, freeze your credit. You can put a freeze on your kid's credit. Freeze, freeze, freeze. If you are within earshot and you do not have your credit frozen, you're asking for it. You're asking to have your identity stolen. I will also mention this. At any point in time, you can unfreeze your credit, and it's pretty simple. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show Nicole how to unfreeze the credit she just froze. So Nicole, go to the TransUnion link, the original link.
Okay.
From there, that was it. Go to it right
that
there.
One?
Yep.
Okay.
So she went to the original link off my website to TransUnion, and you got some choices. You can remove your freeze altogether. Don't click that. Or you can do a temporary lift, which sounds like as my skin sags as I get older, I'll need a temporary lift, maybe a permanent lift. And so what that does is a lift allows you to permit access to your TransUnion credit report for a defined date range. A lift must start within 15 days of the current date. A lift ends within 1 to 30 days of the start date. So here's why you would do this, Nicole. Let's say you and the man friend go and you're like, we want to buy a jet ski.
That sounds like us.
It doesn't.
No,
but let's
I
say
know.
you were going to go buy a jet ski and you're like, oh, we need to get financed for this $90,000 jet ski. And so what you would do is before you leave for the Jet Skis R Us store, you would go on here, you would do a temporary freeze or a temporary lift, I should say, that for a day.
Yeah.
You go to the store, they run your credit, you guys get a nice simple payment of $1,500 a month.
Modest.
Yeah. And then tomorrow, it refreezes. The default is frozen.
I like it.
Any other questions from you, Nicole, before I move on to sort of what is causing me so much angst on this topic?
You and I talked about this a little over the break, and I guess my main question is if you can just freeze your credit and take so much hassle out of it, why would people have identity theft protection and freeze their credit, or just do identity theft protection and not freeze their credit?
Nicole, that's a brilliant question, and for this, I ask you to pull up a chair.
Oh, thank you.
Nicole, you've been to the grocery store.
Once or twice.
You know the poultry section?
Yes.
There's a bunch of raw chicken. Mm-hmm. There's different types of chicken there, isn't there?
That there is.
There's chicken breasts that are pre-cut. $4 to $6 a pound, depending if you're buying like organic Amish chicken that's educated, right?
Yes.
Or you could buy a whole chicken, like a roaster chicken, I think is what they call them. Guess how much those cost a pound?
How much do those cost a pound?
79 cents. Do you know the
Silence.
difference?
No.
Here's the deal. Buy the whole chicken, go to YouTube, learn how to cut a chicken. This is the issue. What you're doing when you buy identity theft protection is you're buying unnecessary convenience. Buying chicken breasts, if you know how to break down a chicken, doesn't make a lot of sense unless you just need a bunch of chicken breasts.
Yeah.
Right? At our house, we know how to cut a chicken. I spatchcock chickens like my middle name is Peter Spatchcock Dunn.
Ooh.
Do you know what spatchcocking is?
I do.
Okay, good. Because otherwise,
Yeah, that could have taken a weird turn.
you're filling out HR forms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so spatchcocking a chicken, you just cut the backbone out, you flatten that son of a gun out. But so I know how to cut a chicken, so I can pay 79 cents a pound for chicken, not $6 a pound for chicken. You want to freeze your credit so you don't have to pay $6 a pound for chicken. Identity theft protection is for people who refuse to understand what the data bureaus are. And you hear me call them data bureaus and not credit bureaus because that's what they do. They gather your data when you either unknowingly or reluctantly gave them permission to your data, and then they sell your data. They can act like they're interested in your protection and they can sell you protection, all this. But the reality is, if they were super interested in your protection, A, they wouldn't randomly sell your data to some pre-approved credit card company who wants to sell you stuff.
Yeah.
B, they would have a campaign about freezing your stinking credit. That's what frustrates me about this is the Equifax. I'm the sort of, I now list my ages, I get upset at data breaches. But here's the thing. All they have to do is to have a campaign, a press release that says, hey, y'all, just freeze your credit. But no, you know what they're doing? They're saying, hey, we're going to give you free identity theft protection. We're going to get you on that juice, give you a little taste.
Well, yeah, because it sounds like you're doing so much. You're having identity theft protection.
Protected.
Yeah, you're good. That makes it sound like you're taken care of. You can forget about it now.
Here's what stinks about this whole thing. And
Yeah.
by the way, our Equifax sponsorship, I think, just went up in flames.
I think you're right.
Here's what's going to happen. You're going to go off this free identity theft protection, which is just garbage anyway. And then they're going to turn it into an opportunity to make money off of you because they're going to be like, man, this is a real concern. You should continue this coverage. And it only costs you $9.99 a month. It's distasteful. It's disgusting. And this is the bigger point that I'm trying to make here altogether, which I haven't even mentioned. Your credit score is sort of the gateway into all of this. The more you naturally care about this arbitrary score that says how good you are at borrowing, the more susceptible you are to junk like this. That's why that's why my credit's frozen. We don't have a bunch of open credit lines. We close things we aren't using. We don't care about our credit. Now, don't misinterpret that as I have bad credit and I'll do whatever to my credit because I don't care. No, I've earned the right to not care about my credit. I'm in the, what do we call it? Financial education in the college level business too, right? What am I saying? I can't even talk. College financial literacy? We go with that?
Yes.
And so some of our competitors in that space, I partner with Indiana University. Our product is called Money Smarts You. Why am I telling you this? You don't care, right? What we do is we make sure that ours is not credit score based. We don't want to teach people how to buy into the credit scoring system so they become victims of their own behavior. We just try to get people to have good behavior and then ignore your credit score. We're so caught up in this country with the ability to borrow. I mean, think about this right now. If you disagree with my thoughts about credit scores and our desire to borrow, just think about this for a second. Why are you disagreeing? Do you not think we have spending addictions and debt addictions from government down to from the federal level to the state level to the local level? The city I live in central Indiana, Carmel, Indiana, wants to spend $5 million, borrowed money, mind you, on a carousel, an antique carousel, to put in downtown Carmel because they think it will attract visitors. Let's say they're right. Let's say they spend $5 million of borrowed money to put a carousel in the city in which I live. If they're right, that means I won't even be able to get home in a timely manner because of all the traffic, because of all the tourists here to ride the carousel. Oh my gosh. Freeze your credit. Your credit score doesn't matter. I don't care. Oh, my insurance premiums go up if I have bad credit. You're missing the point. Have good credit, but don't try to make it go up. Don't come up to me like, I have an 800-point credit score. You're wrong. I'm not wrong, and I don't care if you have an 800-point credit score. It doesn't matter. Your goal, as far as your finances go, here's your goal. You ready? This is not materialistic, and this is not greedy. This is not misplaced. I'm talking about your financial life, your financial focus. Here is the message. Focus on having money. Focus on having money. Don't focus on the ability to borrow money. That's what gets you in trouble. A lot of good people are going to have their identity stolen because of this data breach. And every time there is a data breach, this is exactly what happens. Any store you shop at, the Targets of the world or wherever, the data breach, like Chipotle had a data breach, which based on my figure, clearly, I've had some pretty grande burros there with some queso, right? So I'm susceptible to those data breaches. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. I need to hose down. Okay, we're going to take a break. Coming out of the break, we'll do the biggest waste of money of the week. Who knows? I'll be honest, Nicole. It's probably just going to be identity theft protection that the credit bureaus sell you when you could just freeze your credit for free. This is the Freeze Your Credit or You're a Dum Dum edition of the $1 Million Plan. I'm Pete the Planner.
Every day living through the peace of my soul, I remain whole, even in the middle of the pain. Even though my life has the rain, I still remain sane, writing and creating for my life. And my pen is my sword given by the Lord, and I use it to fight the tides of restriction. Sometimes I'm conflicted, find myself looking at the trees too much and can't see the forest. Enemy shall inherit the earth, and I want to inherit something other than the high blood pressure and diabetes. So work is what I gotta do. Stay true to my enemy and water the trees that I sing from, and look out for the lumberjacks running with the gale force wind at my back. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm.
All right, this week's BWAM, biggest waste of money of the week, is... Actually, I'm doing it too. I'm doing two this week. The first one is going to be obvious. It's identity theft protection. Just freeze your credit. Just freeze your credit. That's all you have to do, okay? If you don't freeze your credit and you buy identity theft protection, you're making a big mistake. Freeze your credit. Now, here's the thing. If you're an adult and you have a cohabitate with another adult and you live in a state in which you have to pay to freeze your credit, it could be like $10 a head per bureau. So that's going to be $60 for your household to protect yourself. That is going to be basically a half a year's worth of identity theft protection. But now, like, LifeLock starts at $10 a month. So they want you to pay $120 a year. You know what's going to happen? There's going to be a LifeLock commercial on right after this segment. I know it's going to happen. Jeez. I don't like those calls I get into. Never mind. I get in trouble sometimes. This should not surprise you. This should not surprise you at all. Anyway, that's number one, biggest waste of money of the week. Waste of money week number two is the Sharp Aquos, am I saying that right? No one knows. 8K TV. We know it's still hard to find quality content for your 4K sets. For the future proofers out there, though, the new Sharp Aquos 8K TV is ready for the content that comes after that. Put aside the question of programming for a second. It's 7,680 by 4,320 pixels, offer 16 times the resolution of full HD, and can render fine details that may or may not notice depending on how close you're sitting. It will see a staggered rollout starting in China next month and extending to Japan, Taiwan, and Europe, but there's no word yet on a US release. And there's not even a price on it, which means it's going to be like a $50,000 TV. Here's what you need to understand. How detailed do you need your TV? Like, seriously, like what do you need to see on your TV that you aren't currently seeing otherwise? Like, there's no reason for you to buy an 8K TV. There's no reason for you to buy a 4K TV. Like, I have HD. I can read the back of someone's jersey. It's like on the 30-yard line of a stadium 1,000 miles away. Just fine in HD. And frankly, you can kind of see the person's number if in standard def. In 8K, you're going to be able to see if they have acne, like on their neck. I don't need that. I don't look at people's acne. Nicole, that really took a strange turn, the show in that moment.
You know, I wasn't going to say anything, but...
All right. So you've got one of your credit bureaus frozen.
I do.
You have two more to go.
Mm-hmm.
When are you going to do this?
Probably after we're done recording.
All right. I'm going to be there.
Okay. I would kind of expect you to be.
Okay. Well, I was going to mention my... Nicole, I was going to mention my acid reflux. What is going on? Here's why I'm in a bad mood. Everyone's like, well, why are you pretty fired up today? I've been having some issues, right? I haven't had coffee in a week. I have not had booze in a week. Now, that makes it seem like I have a problem. But let's be honest. No one had a problem that I didn't have coffee for a week. It's just a different chemical. So, I mean, I'm just drinking water. Just water. Like an elephant. like an elephant. That's it for this week's show. Go to PeteThePlanner.com. Actually, I don't know if we'll get it on the homepage or not. Just Google Pete the Planner and credit freeze. Freeze your credit. Here's what frustrates me. When people hear episodes of the show like this, and then they don't freeze their credit. Dude, just freeze your credit. That's it. I'm out. Send you good vibes, because good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is $1 Million Plan.
If you want to be on this podcast and have Pete fix your money life, then hit us up at PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. You heard me. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Log on.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the Swiss financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
Released from Everest, the fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you love-trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love-trying can restore your health. I bring you greetings. Salutations, how you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, in beats I burn. This I adjourn, in beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you love-trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love-trying can restore your health. I bring you greetings. Salutations, how you doing? And is that how y'all say it?